options. So in this one, I normally just do Portugal, but I'm planning to check the other options. I think it's all very good.
I can share my experience migrating from moving from 6.2 to 7. I waited 1 year after 7 was released to start looking at it because I was following the forums and there was lots of people saying this is not working, this is not working. So I stayed away for 1 year. And then 1 year later I went into 7 and I found out that most of my knowledge could be used about Liferay as a system, Liferay applications. Of course, it was not the same. But by myself, I in 1 week started doing portlets for 7.
So this build,
it was not the right way of doing it as 7 expects or as Liferay suggests now, because the idea is that we should, many things that we usually put in the portlets, now we should spread in other types of services, much lighter, easier to maintain, easier to test. So keep only the web interface in the portlet and do the rest in isolated services, more manageable and more easy to debug. So, but in 1 week you can put a 6.2 programmer doing code for 7. No problem. By himself, if he has training, a couple of days. So it's not really difficult. It's different, and you have to adapt. And then 7 allows you to do much more than just portlets. Services that are available through OSGI, that are available through REST, so lots of new types of modules that you used to be called plugins. You now have lots of new types of modules that you can do, and that helps to build a well-architectured system. We have much more flexibility in architecturing our system, and that's very good for big systems. That's why we must understand these changes are for the very big systems. They are not for the small application, they are not for the small website. They are for the big systems, and they are good for the big systems. They give us a little bit of trouble if we are just building a small website. Yeah, it's true.
I would also like to mention that in version 7, we launched a tool called Blade that helps you with templating. Okay? There's a command line interface that you can install in your system and generate projects based on templates. There's a GitHub repository called Blade Samples. Now, there are a lot of samples of most common things library developers come to when developing a library project. For example, configuration action, post-login action, something like that. How do you do that in Library 7? You will probably find a sample for it.
Yeah, I remember something about the tool to create a team, like having an error of some kind, and people say, just ignore it. Because no one cares about the error. Node.js is a mess. You're using it in Liferay, and it's not.
It's optional. You can just skip it.
If you want to create a team, that's the spot. That's the official tool.
Yeah, I think so.
And you create a team, and it gives you errors. It tells you that the tool is outdated, and it still works, kind of. You just don't feel sure that it will work.
Yeah,
it's not.
Things are more and more for designers.
Yeah.
Except for the not for yeah. But Marta showed last time that thing is very easy to do.
It's
okay.
I think the problem is that if you have one project which is maybe 6.2, changing to 7 just for the sake of it, like you want to keep the platform updated, okay, so it's a big effort to make the change, and it's hard to justify it in a budget.
Well, at that point, it's true. If your platform is going to be the same, you are not developing new things, maybe it's not worth it. It's not worth to change, to upgrade. But in the moment that you are starting to consider new developments or some point you need to think if you want to continue developing on 6.2 or maybe it's worth to 10 because maybe your code for your development is going to be easier.
As I would like to say that maybe if you compare 6.2 with 7, maybe you could be right, but 7.1, 7.2.
Seven, we will talk about in 2 years.
Yeah, but we keep moving forward. We keep adding
Yes.
things. And the sooner you do that,
We have just been talking about developer pains in upgrading, but maybe we should remember, we don't talk much about this because we don't do much content management. And our applications typically normal applications using the database, and we don't integrate much with the content management. But and that's what I do also. But I've been noticing small, important changes in the content management that are very good for people that do a lot of content management. And that's also important. We want, and I think we should, integrate more and more our applications with content management because it's a very powerful feature of Liferay, and it's very important that we just, if we start doing digital experience systems instead of applications, we need content management, and we need our applications to interact with content management. Because we need that the customer goes to the website and he does whatever he wants to do, but afterwards we start cross-selling other stuff. And the other stuff we cross-sell comes from content that was being loaded just a few minutes ago from the content management administrator or someone from marketing. So we have to interconnect our applications with the rest of the website. And this has to be related one thing to the other. We cannot continue to develop only applications and let the marketing guys develop the website. This is not the right way to go into the future. So going forward, because it's almost 7 o'clock and we have lots of things to talk about. And just we are now around 70 people in the group. We would like to have more system administrators, more designers, more content management administrators, because I think we are mostly programmers, and I think we should start talking with other types of people in the organization that are users of Liferay. I would like very much that designers would acknowledge Liferay as a good platform for building websites. It's not normal that they do that, but because we don't need to tell them how to do the good stuff. So we have talked about this. Let's move forward. Now we have 5 minutes for Marta para nos mostrar como é que em 5 minutos faz carrossel com bootstrap 4. Marta, vamos fazer uma coisa.
E isso é um carrossel de imagens, algo muito básico, mas essencial. Para isso vamos fazer coisas muito simples. Criar uma estrutura, criar um template, criar um web content e apresentar o carrossel. E é basicamente isto. Mas antes disso precisamos de contextualizar. E é importante referir que na versão Liferay 7.1 nós temos o Lexicon 2, que é uma linguagem de design para a criação de interface em Liferay, ou seja, são um conjunto de princípios, regras, não é uma implementação. A implementação do Lexicon 2 é assim o clay. E o play é construído com base no Bootstrap 4. E isso é muito importante, uma vez que nós vamos construir o nosso carrossel, tendo por base a estrutura do carrossel de exemplo do Bootstrap 4. Aqui podemos ver algumas imagens de alguns dos componentes base daquilo que é o play, que nós podemos utilizar, e que respeitam toda a linguagem do ecossistema do Liferay. E é por isso que isto é uma mais-valia de ser utilizado. Passando ao carrossel, isto nós vamos construir, basicamente temos uma imagem, temos duas setas que nos permitem navegar no carrossel e embaixo temos uns marcadores que nos a quantidade de imagens existentes e a imagem que estamos naquele momento no carrossel. Muito simples. Para isso, vamos criar uma estrutura em que o elemento essencial é uma imagem, um campo de imagem repetível, devemos também ter um texto alternativo, uma vez que é sempre um bom princípio ter um texto alternativo à imagem. Para além disso, vamos criar um template com base naquilo que é o template de carrossel do Bootstrap 4. O template é este, muito simples. Temos uma div carrossel, temos uma lista de imagens, que nos permite fazer os marcadores que estão no fundo do carrossel, temos a própria da imagem e em baixo temos dois links com duas setas para navegar para a frente e para trás do carrossel. Bastante simples, parece. Por fim, basta apenas criar o web content, carregamos a imagem no campo respectivo, com o botão mais adicionamos o número de imagens que pretendemos, publicamos e está feito. O nosso carrossel está pronto para apresentar no site. Vou passar então aqui. Portanto, nós estamos aqui no nosso portal, 7.1, e o que precisamos de fazer é
não é esse aqui, isso mudou. O calostro, mudou o calostro. Isto era o IP lá da rede local.
Ter o IP correto?
O calostro importante.
Agora. Então, vamos recomeçar.
É o primeiro.
Fazer o login. É importante. Conteúdo. No conteúdo, vamos criar a nossa estrutura. Eu apenas por uma questão de não andar a trocar os nomes, tenho já aqui os ficheiros com as estruturas que vou agora criar.
Marta já não sabe usar Windows para o trabalho de Windows.
Sim, mas para mim está a ser uma novidade é utilizar este.
Mostra só a estrutura como ficou.
Eu prometi, não é mentira?
É uma imagem que tem as três propostas repetidas e igual.
Exato. Vamos gravar. A seguir vamos ao template. Vamos também criar um template. Vamos selecionar a estrutura a que este template corresponde, no caso é esta que eu acabei de criar. E vamos aqui, desenvolver, onde eu tenho. Temos aqui o template que mostrei na apresentação. Vamos guardar e agora vamos passar à criação do web content, do tipo carrossel que acabamos de criar. Já tenho aqui algumas imagens muito agradáveis carregadas. Vamos preencher.
Essas imagens foram criadas no Parte.
Não, estas imagens foram carregadas da última vez que eu criei isto.
Mas
para
podiam
verificar se
estar no
funcionava. Poderiam ter
Parte.
sido. Sim.
Não estão, mas podiam estar.
Mas ficaram automaticamente no documento media a partir do momento que eu os carreguei na vez anterior para criar este webcontent.
A diferença é que na estrutura, em vez de dizermos que era uma imagem, dizíamos que era um documento de documentos da mídia, a definição da estrutura.
Why does Liferay have so much white space?
It could be the colors of the screen, because it should have
Yes,
like
it's
gray.
No, it's not just white. Okay, just the thing is,
It's
the
plain.
content itself. It's just the name of the image. Then you have buttons and lots of space. That's a common issue with the Liferay contents. Like you have to scroll down, up and down to insert information.
That's a design decision.
That's a modern way of
That's a
That's a modern way of doing
Yeah,
something.
that's modern, yeah.
You can't have luxury without space.
Screens are bigger, we have to fill them.
No, they are after.
Yeah, the problem is that you never know what's the size of the screen. And so you cannot just fill a big screen with stuff that later it won't fit in a tablet or a small screen. It's a design problem we have.
Por fim, basta-nos apenas publicar o nosso conteúdo. Podemos ir aqui ao site, à página onde podemos carregar o conteúdo que acabamos de criar. E aqui está ele, simplesmente arrastá-lo. E temos o nosso carrossel de imagens pronto a funcionar em 5 minutos ou menos.
Houve um bocadinho de trabalho prévio. Mas reparem, o trabalho prévio foi ir ao Bootstrap 4, sacar o exemplo, adaptar ao template e foi rápido, de facto, não foram 5 minutos. Foi quê? Foi mais tempo a descobrir porque é que há ali uma variável que não funciona
Sim, esqueci.
do que propriamente a fazer o Bootstrap.
Já agora posso colocar essa questão. Aqui. Esta variável aqui.
It's not working.
That's a typical interface. That's the namespace of the product.
Yeah, but it's not working.
It's not working?
No.
Really?
It's not.
It should.
I can
Yeah.
show you here in the browser.
We'll find out that one.
Inspect.
Empty, so it's not working.
It's my carousel dash nothing.
Isto é uma variável, o namespace dos portlets, para quem não se recorda ou nunca se percebeu, é um conceito que nós usamos, é um identificador que nós usamos para pormos o mesmo portlet 2 vezes ou 3 vezes na mesma página, sem que a código faça interferência. E aqui só podíamos ter um carrossel a cada página porque o namespace não está a funcionar.
Tens podes colocar lá numa página, mas há outro que não pode. E daí o namespace é diferente do outro, acrescenta que não sai disso. Neste caso, é um nome que pode. É um template. É um web content. Neste caso, pode ser um web.
Sim, mas de qualquer das formas isto deveria funcionar. Todos os exemplos que eu pesquisei online, eu hoje passei o dia todo a pesquisar sobre isto.
O portal em si é um web content que é boa. Não é o template que criaste, certo? Podes pôr vários tipos.
Mas não funciona. O namespace não está a funcionar.
Isto é adicionar outro.
Se eu adicionar outro, o segundo deixa de funcionar porque tem o mesmo.
Outro web content display. Tens o portal que é o web content display.
Sim, mas o
Adicionas
carrossel...
isso e adicionas depois o outro.
Mas depois o JavaScript do carrossel não consegue identificar a qual carrossel é que tem que mexer.
Eu só adicionar agora.
O namespace não está a distinguir os dois.
Adiciona outro igual. E agora? Este funciona. Mas este não funciona.
Adiciona vai adicionar
Sim.
e aí no content tens aí o web content display.
Mas isto são web content displays.
Yeah, that's what content display. That's the same thing.
it's not working, it's surviving. Está documentado, porque esta é a forma correta de está documentado. Nessa função, nós já temos documentado. Então não é só guiado a isto. É só guiado a isto. Não preciso ter calma.
Fazer uma variável, assign, request e depois ir buscar o porta
Na guia funcionava.
Funcionava?
Esta é a guia.
Eu ainda não experimentei guia 2, mas já tinha experimentado isto na guia 1 e funcionava. E estou a usar na 7.
Pois, na 7 também temos experimentado.
Na 7 a mesma coisa funciona com o porta do namespace. Na 7 também.
Sim, não é mais.
Sim, penso assim, se bem que eu encontrei várias versões de como ir buscar porta namespace, ou com aquele arroba, porta namespace, ou então tem outras versões também de se fazer assign de uma variável e depois request porta namespace, colocar a variável. Eu tenho pelo menos três variantes de.
Vamos seguir em frente, temos o David com uma apresentação sobre as APIs.
Já terminei, simplesmente para dizer que isto é um exemplo muito simples, que poderia ser estendido a muitas outras coisas, incluir texto, incluir filtros, incluir links nas imagens, e que podem encontrar o código apresentado aqui. E é tudo. Obrigada.
Obrigado.
Ok, David. És tu agora. Sim, força.
Okay, let's. I'm trying to tell you a little bit about what are we trying to do with the APIs in Liferay, and maybe also we are considering the pattern that we are creating for Liferay is also useful for other sectors or for other technologies too. So maybe this pattern that we are going to see is possible to use in other frameworks. Maybe we can contribute, or maybe someone else can take the same idea and the same code and migrate to other frameworks. Well, basically, let's very quickly at the beginning say why we do need APIs. APIs are important because we are living in a interconnected world. Some time ago, we were used to have some servers, some backends, and a lot of users that were connected to our servers using a browser. After that, we have been seeing that there's no browser anymore. Any user has a lot of multiple devices with not only the browser, also mobile phones, smartwatch, and even now it's very usual to have some Internet of Things, some devices, or even chat bots that are connected to our system, our backend system. And Liferay is one of those backend systems, so we need to take care that right now possible number of consumers that are going to connect to our backends, to our servers, are not just browsers anymore, nor mobile phones. Some time ago, if you remember, there was a saying that, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, when the devices were becoming more and more usual, there was this mantra, this lemma who was saying mobile first, which meant you should design your applications to be shown on a mobile and then think how they will be seen on the big screen. Because if the application were going to be presented in the right way in a mobile phone, then it was going to be easier to show that on the big screen. But right now, there's another dilemma, which means, there are some people that is starting to say, you should be API first. Because maybe there is no screen anymore. Maybe there's some other application or some bot that is connected to your website. So the different backends right now are facing that the different kind of consumers that are going to connect to them could be very, very different. So in Liferay, we still need to do APIs. This is how it used to be. When we had a Liferay portal, we had some different modules for different parts of the system, and we also had integrated the user interface. Both a user interface for the managers, for the registered users who were authoring the contents, but also another user interface for people who was actually using our sites. But some time ago we decided to, first we went to modules, and this is the usual picture that you get when someone starts to talk about modularity in software designs. Or I don't know if in other design systems also they are using the Lego building blocks, but we are now using this other picture because this represents better what we are trying to do. This is the Lego toys, the Lego guys, and this is good because it represents that my kids usually do this kind of thing. When they have the Legos, they remove the head. So we are going headless. We are getting rid of the head of our Lego toys. And this basically represents what we are doing with Liferay nowadays. We are going to still deliver a head over the shoulders of our modules, but we are going to allow you to remove that head and to change that head for any other head that you want to do. Because the good thing here is that if we do this, if we make as easy to change the front end as it is to replace the head of a toy, we have two different options. So we can make anyone to choose whatever technology is easier or best suits their needs. So right now what we are trying to accomplish is modify or make the Liferay portal as a set of headless APIs so that the different users could be accessing, maybe using different applications, the different modules that are going to be interested in using. So on top of that, of course, we are going to still have our own user interface so that in the normal case that you are still using Liferay as a backend for a web content or for a site which is mainly accessed by a browser, you still will be having the same issues. But at the same time, all the functionalities should be accessible through APIs. And again, this is not new. We have been having support for APIs before. The first solution was, back in the old days, the solution that everyone was doing was SOAP. SOAP was the first approach to allow APIs to allow other systems to connect to our backend without any kind of front-end application or user interface. And it enabled the possibility to integrate with external systems, with, for example, to use Liferay in a much more complex architecture that had to integrate with other backend systems, for example. And it was also easy to build APIs because with SOAP we have this tooling that once that we have defined the messages, the contract, we could create the scaffold, or we could scaffold the backend components that we had to create. But the bad part of this was that at the end, this was having some compatibility problems between different systems. It made hard to consume APIs because we end up interchanging big pieces of XML, big files of XML. And sometimes even we had some problems, or we were relying on the tooling or the tools that we were using to create the APIs. So the next step came with JSON WS. And this was really a good thing because we changed to use HTTP as protocol or as a transport, and we were interchanging JSON objects, JSON serialized objects. The good thing is we developed the service builder for that. I don't know if you are using service builder, right? And the good thing about that is that service builder was automatically exposing any internal service that we had in Liferay. So that meant that almost automatically we have all the feature, all the functionality on the backend exposed as an API. And it was developer friendly because basically it was really easy. We just need to concentrate on our internal service and then expose that internal service as an API. Also, we could create interactive docs, operations, and a lot of things. But the bad things here is that the service builder at the end was exposing our internal model. And exposing our internal model as our backend is Java means that we are exposing some Java details to our API. And that's not a good thing. Also, we were exposing our custom library model, internal model, and that meant that whenever that library model was changing, we were exposing also those changes to the API, and that was breaking any past client that was consuming that API. So at the end, this turns out that I don't know if it's been a good idea, because it made it easy for the backend developer to expose the API, but it didn't make it easy for the consumers, for the front-end developer to consume our APIs. And the key thing on an API is to make any consumer, any front-end developer, or any other backend developer who is going to make requests to our API, to make it easy for them to consume those. Well, it happened that, in fact, we were not using a REST services. What we were doing basically, or what we are doing most of the times with Service Builder, is we are invoking RPC, remote procedure calls, over HTTP. So that's basically it. So we added support for developing JAX-RS services, which meant that we could go to the RESTful way. How we are doing that? Because I don't know, any of you has developed a REST service using JAX-RS? One? Well, it's really easy to develop a service using JAX-RS, because the only thing that you need to do is write a method on an application and just annotate with some information which is the path under this, under which this method is going to be invoked, and also use an annotation to specify which HTTP method should be mapped to this method, and the kind of response that we are going to render in response. And that's it. We define the business logic here, and we return an object, a response, with whatever model we have. And JAX-RS is going to deal with the serialization and the serialization of any request and response. Basically, there's a little bit more than that. We are going to see it. Basically, what we need for building a JAX-RS service is an application, which is basically the main bootstrap, the component, which is going to start up all the framework and is going to create all the mappings between the different URLs and the different methods on my components. Those components are called resources, which are the ones that are defining the method that are going to handle the different URLs, and optionally we could define some extensions. Basically, this is the application. In order to define a service, the only thing that we need to create is a class that says an application. This is a class from JAX-RS, and define an application path. This is going to be the root URL, and after that we need to just define or bootstrap the kind of resources that we are going to create. This is basically to instruct the framework which resources should be scanned for annotations, for different methods. The resources can have also a path, so on the class, but also on any method we can define another part of the URL. So that means that in this case, when the application startups, any URL, any request sent to /API/recipe/SUMID will be handled to this method. And whatever ID comes on the URL is going to be mapped to that part. So it's quite easy to develop an API using JAX-RS. Of course, the kind of components that, or the model that we are returning from the methods could be annotated with JAX-B binding annotations, which basically instruct the framework how to serialize the JSON that should be returned to the